Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video I have a very exciting one because we have a brand new launch. Launching today are the new Kiki London water decals and I've been very excited to share these with you all. So let's jump straight into the box. To start off with, you have your water decal guide. Now this is very detailed and lists everything you need to know about applying the water decals. I love these guides. They're really handy to keep on your desk, especially if you're just starting out, because if you're going through the steps and you forget something, you can very easily refer back to that instruction guide. So I just keep them on my desk if I'm using something that I haven't used before or if I need a little bit of information. Next up, we have the new Kiki London silicone tool. Now this is a must-have when it comes to applying water decals. It makes them just really smooth. It helps get out your air bubbles, any creases, helps make sure they're lying nice and flat. We will be using it in the video, so you'll see it in a little bit more detail then. But as you can see, it's a double-sided and it's got some pretty pink detailing and of course the Kiki London logo. I do find which side you want to use is down to personal preference, but you can obviously use both. Then of course we have the water decals themselves. So I wanted to take you guys through and show you them all. So you've got some multicolored stars and then these are exactly the same but in the heart. So as you see, you get two different sizes, a small and a larger. And then again, the same with these smiley faces. So they're great having two different sizes because depending on the size of the nails you're working on, you might need a larger or a smaller one. Then how amazing are these cocktails? I love the detail in these ones, all of the different colors and the little details, they just are going to look amazing. And then here we have some more simple looking cocktails. So again, depending on the type of style or design you're doing, you could choose between the two. Then we have some fruity slices or fruit pieces, and again another pack of those which are slightly different. This includes the watermelons and just again a different style, which is great because we all have our personal preference of what we prefer. Then we have these really fun holiday ones. I personally loved the greenery details on these ones. I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of those. Then we have some really cute flowers and I love that these come in a variety of colours because you can tie them in with lots of different coloured gel polishes. And then this pack is more realistic florals, which I thought these ones were really pretty. I'll be using these ones today. Then we have some gorgeous butterflies. These are perfect for summer nails. And again, I love that they come in a variety of sizes because some clients have really teeny tiny short nails. So it's great to have smaller water decals. Now these ones are kind of abstract with your minimalist details. I really liked how detailed these was. They are amazing because hand painting small details like that are really tricky. Then we have some skulls, which will be perfect for Halloween. And then the last two are Old English letters and numbers, which are really fun to include in designs. So for today's video, I have chose to use these 5 decals to create 4 nail designs. Of course, I will use the others in upcoming videos. But to start off with, we need some gel polish bases. So I've chose 4 nude/light colours because water decals will work best over a lighter colour base. Now, before applying your water decals, ideally you want to do your prep, then your base coat, and then your 2 coats of colour. And then you want to leave on that tacky inhibition layer from your second coat of colour because the water decals will stick a lot nicer to the tacky layer that your gel polish leaves. So let's move on to applying the water decals. First of all, when it comes to cutting out the water decals, you want to cut as close to the image as you possibly can. So all of what you can see that is white is the backing paper. So when you transfer off your decal from that backing paper, it's going to be clear in those areas. However, you want to remove as much of it as you can so that the decal lays nice and seamlessly on the nail. Then you're going to need some water. Along with water, I'm going to be using the angled nail art brush. You could also use the round one. You're going to need some tweezers to help you pick up the water decal, and then you're going to want to place it in the water. So I dropped it in the water a little bit prematurely there, but I'm just showing you guys you can place it in the water. Then of course you're going to need your Kiki London silicone tool. Now there's 3 different ways I'm going to be showing you guys in the video today on how to apply the water decals. This way here is kind of like the classic old school way. I personally prefer the other two ways that we're going to be doing further on in the video, but I still wanted to include this way because I know a lot of people apply decals this way. So this way, you just place your water decal in some water for around 10-20 seconds, then you pick it up with your tweezers, and as you see, it peeled nicely off the base, and then you just apply it to the nail. So I've pressed it down with my silicone tool, and I'm then using the silicone tool to very gently ease out any creases or any bubbles. Now, I did find that the water decals applied really easily, so I didn't have too many creases to get out. Here I'm just blotting off some excess water with a lint-free pad just so I can see if there are any creases or bubbles there. Now let's move on and apply some more of these images to the water decal. So I've gone for some fruity slices to match that cocktail. So like I said, when you're cutting these out, you want to cut as close to the image as possible. I found this a little bit tricky with my stalk scissors. Ideally, cuticle scissors are a lot easier to use, but I couldn't find mine. Cuticle scissors are a lot smaller. The blades are usually a lot smaller and a lot thinner, so you can get really close to the water decal without cutting into it. However, it is still possible to do, like you can see here with the stalk scissors. You just need to be a little bit more careful. So now that I've got my images cut out, I'm going to pick one up using my tweezers, and I'm going to apply this one slightly differently. This is my more preferred way of applying water decals lately. So you're going to take a nail art brush once you've got hold of your decal, and you're going to just damp the back of your water decal with the nail art brush and water. I prefer this way because you have more control over how much water you're adding on to the water decal. And then you'll see that it slides effortlessly off of the backing paper. I have sped the video up slightly. You want to wait around 10 to 20 seconds, and then it just slides off that backing paper very easily. The reason as well you don't want to add more water than necessary into your water decal is because you do need to wait for all of that water to fully evaporate before coming in and applying your gel top coat. So you can blot off some excess water with a lint-free pad, but it's just a lot easier to apply less water to begin with. You really do only need a little bit because all you're using that water for is to release the image from the backing paper. So you'll see here again, look how easily this slides off. It wasn't ready just yet, so I waited a few more seconds, and then I'm able to just give it a really gentle push with my fingernail, and then it slides off easily, and I can pick it back up with my tweezer. And then I'm just going to place it down where I want it to go and smooth it out very gently with the silicone tool. Now these water decals are absolutely beautiful. The images are really detailed, but you do need to be careful when you're applying any water decals because they are made of very thin paper. So you don't want to be too hard on them, because if you start digging into them or pressing too firmly on them, you end up ruining the image, either by putting too many creases in or by breaking it. And if you break it, then obviously you need to remove it and start again. So ideally, just be really gentle and you'll find that you don't have any problems. You want to apply a little bit of pressure to get those creases or the bubbles out, but you really don't want to be digging in. And that's why the silicone tool is perfect for doing this, because it has that softer end. I find it a lot easier to smooth the decals out with the silicone tool compared to tweezers or my fingers. So now we've got those water decals applied, we need to come in and seal them in. So to seal them in, you're first going to go in with a layer of base coat. I'm using the rubber base coat today, but you can also use the classic Kiki London base coat if you would prefer. So you want to apply a thin layer of this to the entire nail, making sure you're fully covering those water decals, and then pop that in to cure for 30 seconds, and then come in with your chosen top coat. I'm going to use the rubber top coat today because that's my chosen top coat to use whenever I'm doing any kind of nail art that needs to be sealed in, and that's for two reasons. It's slightly thicker, so it helps smooth everything out and leave you with a really super smooth surface. And because it's that little bit thicker, it's going to add a little bit more durability and strength to the nail, and that's going to really help the water decals last for however long you're wearing this set of nails. And just look how gorgeous, shiny and super smooth this nail looks. I did also want to really quickly mention the base on this nail is Ballet Charm, and I had done 2 coats of that. I did all of the gel polish bases off camera today so we could focus on the water decals. On this one I've done 2 coats of the gorgeous baby boy, and then we're going to be using those super pretty floral water decals. I wanted to go for a bit of a vintage look, so I thought the blue base would help that. Now for applying the water decals this way, we're going to be using a clear jelly stamper. So this technique is relatively new to me. This was only the second or third time I tried it, but I was really impressed with how well it worked with these Kiki London water decals. I have found that I can't always get the jelly method to work with all brand decals, but it worked really easily with the Kiki London ones, and it made applying them a lot easier because you was able to see where you're putting them a little bit easier, if that makes sense. So to start off with, same as before, I've cut out the water decal as close to the image as possible, and then I've stuck it image down onto my jelly stamper. Then using my angled nail art brush, I'm just dampening the water decal. I applied a little bit more water than's needed here. You really do only need a little bit just to dampen so that it removes effortlessly from that backing paper. Now what you want to do is gently slide off the backing paper from your image, and you'll be left with the image stuck down onto your jelly stamper. And as you'll see here, you're then able to look through your jelly stamper and see exactly where you're placing it, and then a little firm press and a little wriggle and the image has transferred perfectly to the nail. I also found doing it with the jelly stamper, I didn't get any bubbling or any creases, so I just smoothed out the edges a little bit just to make sure that there was good contact between the decal and the nail. And then I'm just going to repeat that process and apply a few more images to the nail. I wanted this nail to kind of have lots of florals around the cuticle area and the tip of the nail, so I'm kind of going backwards and forwards, placing them down just to create a really soft, pretty look. You can create so many different designs using water decals. You can use less or as many as you like on a nail to create the design that you want. And one of the other things I love about water decals is they are so quick. Hand painting is absolutely amazing, and it's a technique I definitely recommend learning and practicing. However, when you are working in a salon, it's really hard to have clients sitting there for 2+ hours whilst you're hand painting a design. You will find lots of clients don't have time for appointments like that. So water decals are a great alternative for clients who want something more fun and pretty and detailed, but a lot quicker, as you can see. So I do highly recommend checking water decals out if you haven't already. I know they're already a very common nail art technique that's in the industry, but they are becoming a lot more popular lately, which is really good to see because I've always loved water decals and they were one of my first nail art purchases when I entered the nail world. So again, I'm just coming in, always placing that water decal image first down onto my jelly stamper, applying a small amount of water and then pressing it down onto the nail. Another thing that I wanted to mention is if you are using this technique with a jelly stamper, be very careful. The jelly stampers do damage quite easily depending on the ones you're using. So I prefer to use my finger when I slide the water decal backing paper rather than tweezers, just because if you're using tweezers on the jelly stamper, you can end up breaking the jelly surface and leaving like little dents. And then once that happens, you're not able to use the stamper as well as before, whether it be for stamping or for applying your decals. So rather than using tweezers, I would recommend just sliding the backing paper off with your fingers. And I do always prefer to have gloves on for things like this because it makes it a lot easier to do. You always will know when your backing paper is ready to slide off, because it will slide off a lot easier. If you only wait around 5 seconds, it's not going to absorb enough water to fully slide off easily. So just give it a few seconds longer, a gentle little pull, and it will slide away really easily. Now here, if you apply your water decals very close to the edge of the nail, you can come in with your scissors and trim off any of that excess image. You don't want to have any image overhanging the nail when it comes to top coating. You want to make sure everything is seamless with your sidewalls or your free edge of the nail, or the same around the cuticle. Now I've applied quite an array of florals to this nail. I reckon with these particular floral ones you could get lots of different design use out of them. Just a couple up in the cuticle area would look really pretty. They'd look really pretty on a French or in with a baby boomer. They are one of my favourites out of the selection. So I've applied my base coat, cured that, and then I'm going to come in and apply the top coat to make sure that those water decals are all fully sealed in. And again, you can see that there's no bubbles, no creasing, everything is really, really smooth. And that's because the water decals themselves are really great quality. The paper that they're on is really, really thin, and that makes it a lot easier to apply, because if the paper for water decals is too thick, you find that they stick up a little bit too much, or you get lots more creases or bubbles. With the Kiki London ones, the papers themselves that they're printed on is really thin, so they apply absolutely beautifully. So now we're going to come in and I'm working over the top of coconut. So I've applied my 2 coats of coconut, left on that tacky layer, and I'm going to be applying the colourful hearts. So I'm going to be applying these with the jelly stamper, same way as before. So I'm going to fly through. I just wanted to show you a few different designs just to give some ideas on how to use the water decals. Now I've gone alternate with the heart, so I've gone small, large, and I'm just going to work up the nail to just create kind of like a little heart fade. I thought this would be really cute. It's really fun for that summer rainbow. It has a bit of a pride vibe to it as well, which is nice. So again, when you're applying them with the jelly stamper, I like to press down and do a little wriggle, and as you can see, it transferred absolutely perfectly. There's not too many bubbles or creases to get out of the nail. But what I like to do for speed is, whilst my next water decal is on my stamper and I'm waiting for the water to activate it, that's when I'll use my silicone tool just to run over the decal and make sure that there's no bubbles or creases. So you'll see here, whilst that one's soaking, I'm just using the silicone tool, to smooth out any creases. Here I had a little bit of fluff that had picked up and transferred from my stamper, so I was just making sure I removed that. And how quick and easy is this? By working whilst one's soaking and transferring the next one, you're able to fly through applying the water decals. Now just there, you'll see that I wiped the nail with one of my alcohol pads. I had some fluff, like I'd said, it kept transferring from my stamper head to my nail. So I wiped over it with the alcohol pad, which did remove the tacky layer. So I was worried that the decals might not now stick, because it is recommended that you apply them over the tacky layer. However, they did still stick okay. So although it's advised, don't worry if you do have to wipe a section of the nail like I did there to remove anything that's got on the nail. They will still stick down. It is just that they stick that little bit better with the tacky layer, because it's got something to grab hold of the decal and hold it in place. But unfortunately there, I'd got some fluff stuck in and I did need to remove it, otherwise it's going to ruin the overall look of the nail. So I just very carefully wiped that away. Do make sure if you're wiping the nail with an acetone or alcohol pad, to not touch the decals with the alcohol, because the alcohol will break down the inks and the image and it will leave a whole heap of mess that you'll have to remove. So if you do have to wipe over any little part of the nail with a little bit of alcohol to clean up, avoid going over the water decals. So once we've got all of those hearts applied, I'm going to come in and apply my base coat. Now you will see I've got a few bubbles on the orange one, and that's because I didn't press them out enough. I didn't notice as I was working through that I hadn't gone over it enough to smooth it out. So do always double check before you apply your base coat that you haven't got any bubbles there in the water decal. You can't do anything to get any of the bubbles or creases out once you've applied your gel over the top. So you need to make sure you've smoothed everything out before you apply your base and your top coat to seal them in. It's not highly noticeable, but obviously if you was working on a client, you would have to remove them to perfect that. Now on this now, I went for a matte look, and I loved how these colours looked with a matte top coat. Thought this design looked really, really fun. On to the fourth and final design. I had already done my 2 coats of tea rose, and I then decided to come in with coconut and turn it into a French nail, because I do absolutely love water decals over a French tip. But the main thing I wanted to point out on this design is that you can mirror these images. So if you're working on 2 hands, like you're working on a client, and you want the hands to look mirrored and your images to look mirrored, you would need to turn the water decal upside down and basically apply it the other way around, and you're able to do that with these water decals. So obviously I'm not working on two hands, but I wanted to show you on this design anyway. So I've dampened my image and I've slid it off from the backing paper, and then I'm applying it the other way around so that the image is flipped and facing the other way. Now this isn't a necessity for this particular image, but if you were doing a set of nails on a client and you wanted them to mirror each other and fully match, you'd need to be able to do that. And you are able to. You don't necessarily have to pull the decal off the backing paper and apply it the way around that it is. Just simply turn it over, and then you've got the image mirrored and you're able to create that mirrored effect on both hands and have everything matching and looking seamlessly across your client's nails. So I'm going to do it again on this one. So you'll see there I'm applying my water decal, sorry, my water, and then I'm just sort of working out how I'm going to position it, to be honest. So this bit I'm just faffing around. Then I'm going to slide it off of the backing paper and turn it over, so that then it's flipped around so it mirrors that other butterfly that I've applied, so that they're both facing the opposite way. Now you wouldn't really be able to do this technique with the clear jelly stamper way. You would need to have the water decal on the tweezers. So if you did want to mirror the images, just bear that in mind when it comes to applying them. So to finish off this now, I'm just going to add on a cute blue butterfly right on to the very tip of the nail. And you will notice that the decals pop a lot more over a lighter colour base. So do always stick with your whites or your nudes. Pastel colours as well, they will still work over the top of. So like with the baby blue, you could use baby pink. I'm looking forward to trying them over a few different colours and seeing what I can get going. So do look out for future videos because I will be using these a lot. I absolutely love water decals. Now I've tried to share as many tips and tricks that I know of to help you guys, but if you do have any problems or if you have any questions, do pop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to help you guys, because any questions you have I can help by showing you guys how to get around that in future videos. So don't be afraid to pop them in the comments below. We are always happy to help here at Kiki London. So again, I'm going to apply my base coat. This really helps seal them in. I did used to do the double top coat method, but applying a base coat and then one layer of top coat I have found works a lot better, because you've got the tackiness from your base coat. It helps that top coat really stick on. So again, I used the rubber top coat here, and just look how beautiful this now looks. This was my favorite out of the collection, but do let me know in the comments below which nail was your favorite and which water decals were your favorite. They are up now on the website, which I will have linked in the description box below, so do check that out. I really hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up or leave a comment below, and of course please do hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you all so much for watching. Lots of love. Bye bye.